Alrighty, everybody, welcome in to No Such Time Domain. Um, so, hold on 1 second. I turn that up. Alright, now we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and I still got something to do over here, so give me a second. Um, right, that's good. Let's pop out chat that. Oops. And there we go. So that was quicker than I thought. Alright, so today we're reading. What? What are we reading? Chapters. All right, 19, 20, 18, 19, 20, 21. So, wrong section. All right. I always do this on my day off because later than I normally do it because I get to sleep in a little bit later than on my day off. So, all right. So, Saul grows fear of David. Chapter 18. After David finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From the day Saul kept David with him and did not let him return home to his family, and Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with a tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever mission Saul sent him on, David was so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. Please. This pleased all the troops, and Saul's officers as well. When the men when the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistines, the woman came out from all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful song, and with timbrels and lyres. As they danced, they sang. Saul has slain 1,000, and and David his tens of thousands. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly. They have credited David with tens of thousands. He thought, but me with only 1,000. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul, and he was prophesying in his house. David was playing the lyre as he usually did. David had a spear in his hand and hurled it, saying to himself, I'll pin David to the wall, but David eluded him twice. Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with David, but had departed from Saul. So he sent David away from him and gave him command over 1,000 men, and David led the troops in their campaign. In everything he did, he had great success, but because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw how successful he was afraid of him because of all Israel and Judah loved David because he led them into the campaigns. Saul said to David, "Here's my order. Daughter Merab will give her to you in marriage. I will give her to you in marriage. Only serve me bravely and fight battles of the Lord." For Saul had said himself, "I will not raise a hand against him. Let the Philistines do that." But David said to Saul, "Who am I, and what is my family or my clan in Israel, that I should come to the king's son-in-law?" So when the time came for Merab, Saul's daughter, to be given to David, she was given in marriage to Adriel Moalah. Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David. When they told Saul about it, he was pleased. "I will give her to him," he thought, "so that she may be a snare to him, and so that the hand of the Philistine may be against him." So Saul said to David, "Now you have a second opportunity to become my son-in-law." Then Saul ordered his attendants, "Speak to David privately and say, 'Look, the king the king likes you and has attended all love you. Now become his son-in-law.'" They repeated these words to David, but David said, "Do you think it's a small matter to become the king's son-in-law? I'm only a poor man and little known." When Saul's servant told him what David had said, Saul replied, "Say to David, the king wants no other price for the bride than 100 Philistines or foreskin to take revenge on his enemy." Saul's plan was to have David fall in the hand of the Philistines. When the attendants told David these things were pleased, these things, these things, he was pleased to become the king's son-in-law before the allotted time elapsed. David took his men with him and went out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskins. They counted out the full number of the king so that David might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage. When Saul realized that the Lord was with David and that his daughter Michal loved David, Saul became still more afraid of him, and he remained his enemy the rest of his days. The Philistines' commander continued to go out to battle as often as they did. David met with more success. The rest of Saul's officers and his name became well known. So we're on chapter 19. Yeah, David didn't want to become his son-in-law because David felt, all right, so the best way to explain what David feels is like you have to be like a normal average person. It's really hard to just wrap your head around sometimes when things happen like that, because as you saw, David kept being like, "Well, what do I matter to the king? What do I matter to the king?" And the thing is, the king saw that David was just had God within him and was really and God was really powerful through him. And that's why he wanted, that's why he was like, well, that's why David, even if David, you know, would have known that. I mean, I'm sure David knew that, but like I'm sure that's, I don't think Saul mentioned it at all within the story at all, but like but he said he fears him, which means he knows he has God in him because he always becomes successful in every single mission he sends David on to. And that could be why he gave him his daughter in marriage. I mean, Saul had a lot of great stuff going on in his life, and not Saul, but David had a lot of great stuff going on in his life, and it's even weirder that Saul, who's already king, got jealous of David for having even in the song, having David kill more men. I've noticed that with myself, where I'm on YouTube and I'm a small YouTuber, but I try communicating with big YouTubers, and there are people that get completely afraid of me talking to certain YouTubers. I'm not gonna mention it, but I've had drama with some people in the past few months for some reason. I don't know what it is about me, but I get on the platform and they're like, "Yeah, that guy right there, I don't like him. I don't like that guy right there." And then there's some that do like me. And what's even more weird about it is it's just like they're in fear that I'm gonna like that I'm gonna grow bigger than them. And that's how you know you're doing good. That's how you know you're doing good. But at the same time, just that kind of stuff can get out of hand, and people will do anything to get in your way from excuse me being successful at anything. And it's hard. It's hard. It's very, very frustrating when it comes down to it. Now, David's not letting anything like that bother him. David got a wife out of the whole thing. But if Saul keeps feeling this way, or yeah, I don't know. It just looks like Saul is somewhat. It, as you can see earlier, it looked like Saul was a little bit jealous of David because David had a lot more going for himself. And this is just, the moral of this story is don't let that, like, don't let jealousy make you into this horrible human being. Don't do it because, you know, everybody's going to have something sometimes you want. And just remember, even if you are jealous, because I learned this, I had to learn this, that even if you are jealous, you move about your life and do you, and the reason you do you is because those people can't betray or push back. No, those people that you're jealous of, you have to remember, they're not you. You do things a lot better than them. You can't you just can't you can't be like, "Man, I'm mad at that person for that." Some things you just do better than other people. And just remember, because there's people out there that feel jealous of me. I do things a lot better than them. And there's people that absolutely get in my way because they know I do things better than them. And that's the reason, that's what I find weird is like, even if they are some big huge YouTuber getting paid for it or whatever, and I see that they get jealous of me, I'm like, dude, you are bigger than me. You're getting in my way from even talking to somebody, you know, or even connecting with somebody. It's bizarre. It's bizarre because it's, you know, I don't know. There's, some people could have everything and still feel entitled to like everything, and that's one thing that I noticed about people is they already have a bunch of stuff, but they'll still get, it's not enough. They have to take even more from people that are just, that aren't even doing them wrong. That's the sad part about it. It's really selfish when it comes down to it for you to have enough already and to continue to try to get more. That's very selfish. And I'm pretty sure that's, you know, when you have enough, and you're content. You have to understand that you have to be content with everything that God gave you before you can get more. And when God sends you more, because God will give you more, you don't rush out to get things that God doesn't send you, because otherwise you'll be you're not getting it from God. You're getting it for yourself. You're doing it out of selfish desire. You're not really doing it because, well, God told me to do this. No, you're not doing it that way. And that's one thing I can't understand about certain people, is they do things based on selfish desires, and then they'll sit there and say, "Well, I have God." Well, did God send you that? Did God send that thing to you, or are you just being a selfish human being? So, Saul tries to kill David. Chapter 19. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendees to kill David, but Jonathan had taken great liking to David and warned him, "My father, Saul, is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to you. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out." Jonathan spoke well to Saul, his father, and said to him, "Let not the king do wrong to his servant David. He had not wronged you, and what he has done has benefited you greatly. He took his life in his hands when he killed the Philistines. The Lord won a victory over Israel and saw it and were glad. Why then would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason?" Saul listened to Jonathan and took this oath, As surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death." So Jonathan called David and told him the whole conversation. He brought him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once more war broke out, and David went out and fought the Philistines. He struck them with such force they fled before him. But an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul, and he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand while David was playing the lyre. Saul tried to pin him to the wall with the spear, but David eluded him as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night, David made good his escape. Saul sent him to David's house to watch it and kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, warned him, "If you do not run for your life tonight, tomorrow you'll be killed." So Michal let David down through the window, and he fled and escaped. Then Michal took an idol and laid it on the bed, covering it with a garment, and put some goat's hair at the head. When Saul sent the man to capture David, Michal said, "He is ill." Michal said, "He is ill." Then Saul sent the men back to David and told them, "Bring him up to me in his bed, so I may kill him." But then the men entered. There was an idol in the bed, and at the head was some goat's hair. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you deceive me like this, and send my enemy away, so that he escaped?" Michal told him, "He said to me, 'Let me get away. Why should I kill you?'" When David had fled and made his escape, he went to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. Then he made Samuel. Then he and Samuel went to Naioth and stayed there. Word came to Saul, David is in Naioth at Ramah. So he sent men to capture him, but they saw a group of prophets prophesying with Samuel standing there as their leader. The Spirit of God came on Saul's men, and they also prophesied. Saul was told about it, and he sent more men, and they prophesied too. Saul sent men a third time, and they also prophesied. Finally, he himself left Ramah and went to the great cistern at Seku, and he asked, "Where's Samuel and David?" Over in Naioth at Ramah, they said. So Saul went to Ramah, but the Spirit of God came even on him, and he walked along prophesying until he came to Naioth. He stripped off his garments, and he too prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay naked at that all day and all that night. This is why people say, is Saul also among the prophets? So yeah, he chased them down and didn't even get the chance to hurt him. He didn't harm them at all because they all started like getting near the prophecies, and I guess the town was so calm, like the President God was there, and it was completely calm. Nobody harmed each other. As you can see there, they just all ended up like not going too far or anything like that. And it's weird because, you know, I myself I've experienced stuff where like I just can't put my finger on it, but I've experienced stuff like that in this city for some reason, where like with David, where an evil spirit of God came upon him, and well, no, he hurt people when that evil spirit. But a lot of people around me get an evil spirit of God on them, trying to do harm to me. And those are only certain situations, certain people I was around. But like, yeah, sometimes that stuff gets really, really bad, and people need to be aware when that happens because when that happens, people are never aware that like they're in a bad mood because you know they just you can pray to have you can pray to unharden the heart of somebody. You can pray to have somebody's heart softened. Um, and that's kind of what I try to do when I know somebody's consistently having a bad day and I see it. I pray to have their heart softened, and I'm gonna do it again here later on today. With certain people I see that seem like they're having a bad day all the time, and you know it it doesn't hurt to pray to have a heart softened, you know. Um, but the problem is people use these prayers sometimes to harden people's hearts, and that would be considered as casting a curse among another human being. Praying for a hardened heart is not good. It's a bad, malicious, evil thing that somebody can do to you without even bothering you, and it'll ruin your whole relationship. It'll ruin the connection you try to make with people. It'll ruin that kind of stuff, and it's really hard to just pick up on it. But I've noticed that as of recently, that maybe people are hardening the hearts of people I talk to, and that's why like I said, I get to a certain point where I'm talking to somebody and then just their heart will automatically start hardening on me, and then they start an argument with me, and then they end up like cutting me off. And this is like everybody that's been doing this to me. I'm like, that's interesting. So it seems like there's something going on that I'm trying to figure out, and I pray for like protection among me every single day. I pray for protection among me a lot, and part of the problem is like, where does the heart hardening process begin? Like, why is everybody like so angry on the internet? You know, I might go through the internet today, and if somebody starts an argument with me, I'm gonna pray for their heart to be softened, because I've noticed that like a lot of people try to argue with me, and it's become the norm where people just argue with you. So at some point today, if somebody's arguing with you, pray for their heart to be softened, and see how like that affects it, because it works. It definitely works. It kicks the demon out, or it kicks the demon, or like the darkness they have inside of them out, and it works every single time. You just have to pray for it. So, all right, David and Jonathan, chapter 20. Then David fled from Naioth at Ramah, and went to Jonathan and asked, "What have I done? What is my crime? How have I wronged my father, that he is trying to kill me?" "Never," Jonathan replied. "You're not going to die. Look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without letting me know. Why would he hide this from me?" "It isn't so." But David took an oath and said, "Your father knows everything well, that I have found favor in your eyes. And he has said to himself, Jonathan must not know that this, or he will be grieved. Yet as surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, there is only a step between me and death." Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you do, whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you." So David said, "Look, tomorrow is the new moon feast, and I'm supposed to dine with the king. But let me go and hide in the field until the evening of the day after tomorrow. If your father misses me at all, tell him, David earnestly asked my permission to hurry to Bethlehem, his hometown, of an annual sacrifice, because because an annual sacrifice is being made there for this whole clan. If he says, 'Very well,' then your servant is safe. But if he loses his temper, you can be sure that he is determined to harm me. As for you, show kindness to your servant, for you have brought him into a covenant with into for you have brought him into a covenant with you before the Lord. If I am guilty, then kill me yourself. Why hand me over to your father?" "Never," said Jonathan. "Never," Jonathan said. "If I had the last inkling that my father was determined to harm you, wouldn't I tell you?" David asked, "Who will tell me?" "If your father answered you harshly, answer you harshly." "Come," Jonathan said, "let's go out into the field." So they went there together. Then Jonathan said to David, "I swear by the Lord, the God of Israel, that I will surely sound out my father this time. The day after tomorrow, if he is favorable disposed toward you, I will not send you word and let you know. But my father intended to harm you. May the Lord deal with Jonathan, be it ever so severely, if I do not let you know and send you away in peace. May the Lord be with you, as he has been with with my father. But show me unfailing kindness, like the Lord's kindness, as long as I live, so that I may not be killed, and do not ever cut off your kindness from my family, not even when the Lord has cut off every one of David's enemies from the face of earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, May the Lord call David's enemies to account. And Jonathan had David reaffirm his oath out of love for him, because he loved him as much as he loved himself. Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow, in a new moon feast, you will be missed, because your seat will be empty. The day after tomorrow, towards evening, go to the place where you hid when this trouble began. Wait by the stone easel. I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy and say, Go find the arrows. If I say to him, Look, the arrows are on the other side of you, bring them here, then come, because as surely as the Lord lives, you are safe. There is no danger. But if I say to the boy, Look, the arrows are beyond you, you must go, because the Lord sent you away. And about the matter and I discuss. Remember, the Lord is witness between you and me, favor forever. So David had fled, and when the moon feast came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his customary place by the wall, opposite Jonathan, and Abner sat next to Saul, but David's place was empty. Saul said nothing that day, for he thought something must have happened to David to make him ceremonially unclean. Surely he is unclean. But the next day, the 2nd day of the month, David's place was empty again. Then Saul said to his son Jonathan, Why hasn't the son of Jesse come to the meal either, yesterday or today? Jonathan answered, David earnestly asked me for permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, Let me go because our family is observing sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. I have found favor in your eyes. Let me get away to see my brothers. That is why he has not come to the king's table. Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, You son of a perverse and rebellious woman. Don't I know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame, and to the shame of the mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now, send someone to bring him to me, for he must die. Why should he be put to death? What has he done? Jonathan asked his father, but surely hurled his spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger on the second day of the feast and did not eat because he was grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. In the morning, Jonathan went out to the field for his meeting with David. He had a small boy with him, and he said to the boy, "Run and find the arrows that I shoot." As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrows had fallen, Jonathan called out after him, "Isn't the arrow beyond you?" Then he shouted, "Hurry, go quickly, don't stop." The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. The boy knew nothing at all. All this. Only Jonathan and David knew. Then Jonathan gave his weapon to the boy and said, "Go carry them back to town." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed down before Jonathan 3 times, with his face to the ground. They kissed each other and wept together, but David wept the most. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship and with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants, forever." Then David left, and Jonathan went back to the town. So, yeah, that was a good plan for them to work out, because as you can see, Saul just has it out for David, and I deal with people like that all the time, where they just have it out for me. I don't know what it is, but there's people actually that do have that on them, where they just have it out for you, randomly have it out for you, and it just doesn't make sense. And I've been trying to put it together, but it's like I can't tell if if it's a prayer or if it's an actual, like, if there's actually like something that maybe this town in general has people just cursed and all their hearts are hardened or something like that. There's just something weird about this city, and like, it's every time somebody ends up talking to me that happens. So I don't know. Everybody else is okay. It's like, I don't know if it's like there's something there that, like, I just wish people would pray for me and then like have it disappear, because you know what? I'm like, I get tired of trying to figure it out. Like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's even people I talk to in Discord that do that to me. So if you can, I asked politely for my people watching me, the couple that are watching me, please pray for me. Please pray and make sure, like, whatever it is that's going on with people. Thank you. Nvidia, that's for you. You've been like that too with me. Where you have like this really evil, or you get nasty with me. So, but I need you guys to pray. And I don't know if everybody's heart's hardened towards me, but it's not cool to have be talking to everybody and have their heart just hardened on you for no reason at all. Like, and it's just it kind of like gets annoying at times, because it's like, what did I do? All right, David at Nob, chapter 21. Thank you, but I'm gonna say a prayer for you too, because you have your heart hardened directly towards me like a lot, and I'm not gonna go in. I'm not gonna talk too much here what it is, but you guys have your hearts hardened towards me, and I don't know why you have your hearts hardened towards me. Like, you know, it's been it's been all the time, and that's it's a bit concerning. So, all right, David at Nob, chapter 21. David went to Nob at Amalek, the priest. Amalek trembled when he met him and asked him, "Why are you alone? Why is no one with you?" David answered Ahimelech, the priest, "The king sent me on a mission and said to me, 'No one is to know anything about the mission I am sending you on. As for the men, I have told them, meet me at a certain place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever you can find." But the priest answered, David, "I don't have an ordinary bread on hand. However, there is some consecrated bread here. Provide the men, have them keep themselves from the women." Wait. Provide the men that have kept themselves from women. All right. David replied, "Indeed, women have been kept from us. As usual, whenever I set out, the men's bodies are holy, even on a mission that are not holy. How much more so today?" The priest gave him the consecrated bread, since there was no bread there except the bread of the presence, and that had been removed from before the Lord, and replaced by hot bread on the day it was taken away. Now, one of Saul's servants was there that day, detained before the Lord. He was Doeg, the Ammonites. I can't pronounce that. Saul's chief shepherd. David asked Ahimelech, "Don't you have a spear or a sword here?" "I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon because the king's mission was urgent." The priest replied, "The sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. It is wrapped in clothes behind the ephod. If you want to take it, take it. There is no sword here but that one." David said, "There is none like it. Give it to me." David at Gath. The day David fled from Saul and went to Achish, king of Gath. But the servant of Achish said to him, "Isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't he the one that sing about in their dance? Isn't he the one they sing about in their dances? Saul had slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So he pretended to be insane in their presence, and while he was in the hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the floor of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard. Achish said to his servants, "Look at the man. He's insane. Why bring him to me? Why bring him to me? Am I so short of madman? Am I so short of madman that you have to bring this fellow here to carry on like this in front of me? Must this man come into my house?" So, chapter 22. All right, what time is it? All right, 17. So, all right. So David's story is wild. David and Saul's story is actually really, really wild. It's interesting because it's just a vendetta that's just like there, that can't even be explained. And you know, as you heard it twice, an evil spirit from the Lord came down and took upon Saul twice. And it makes me wonder if Saul has this evil spirit placed upon him because of the fighting he did during the war and all those lives he had to take. Because that can be the possibility too, that an evil spirit will come upon you. You know, taking a human life isn't good. You know, and that's why, like, I'm sure this evil spirit keeps coming on to Saul because of the fact he keeps going into battle, fighting all these wars and taking all these lives. Because listen, like, look back at it, you see that he has like lots and lots of kills under his belt, and you can just see that, like, it's people are cheering about it, but the king has less, and the king's mad at him. So it makes me wonder if you know because what's it? Hold on a second. It was David. So Saul is mad at David, and yeah, this whole story is interesting. I think the reason Saul is mad at David because Saul didn't kill as many people, so Saul doesn't have that evil spirit go upon him, and that's why, remember, God picked Saul to be the king, so God is still with Saul, and Saul probably feels that evil spirit that got inserted into David's life, and that's why Saul is so mad and ragely angered at at, at David so much. I think that's what's going on here, because you saw how many times he already tried to kill David, and the Lord keeps him from killing David. Um, and just the story keeps going on and on and on. So hold on, I want to see what we have in the next. So tonight, I'm coming back. I'm off today. So tonight when I read, um, wow, I thought this was all right. So this is a longer book. All right, so I'll read for tonight, and then tomorrow morning, which we should be done with it. So, um, but yeah, that's what I think is going on. I think that's literally why Saul keeps going after David the way he does, and why Saul uh keeps getting mad at David. Because Saul is king, and Saul had Saul had God with him. But at the same time, looking at the whole story, you can see that there's a form of jealousy there. And when the first time it was seen was when the ladies were singing about David and Saul. And Saul could also be in fear of losing his kingdom to David as well. So I really don't know what to say. I mean, I've heard this story before, but it's one that I'm gonna have to read through the whole thing to figure it out myself, because there's some stories I briefly remember, and then other ones I remember more than others. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like, I can't remember. I know one of them ended up like going out to a paganism temple and end up getting their heads cut off. So, all right. So I got a few more minutes. Um, I'm probably gonna use the last few minutes to, like, I don't know, just sit here and talk about some things, I guess. Um, like I've been doing. But yeah, you know, so lately so one thing I will say to people out there, and this is just something I say, is I don't know what's going on with the world. The world's in a bit of hysteria right now. And I believe that, like, there's a lot of hearts being hardened right now. And I think that we need a huge prayer based on uh to bring people out of that, because unfortunately, the way things are going, it's like everybody every day is somehow starting drama on the internet, and everybody every day has drama in general. And it's just kind of weird that it's an everyday thing, you know. And I know this is the world in general. I know the world's gonna have drama regardless with people. But I think what we need is we need a giant prayer. A giant prayer to take all the heart hardening away from people so people can get along and people can stop causing problems amongst each other. I think that could be the solution. But at the same time, it could just be, you know, we need to rebuke Satan from the world. We need to rebuke him. We can't keep allowing him into the lives of other human beings. And it's hard because some people actually let demons into their life and they don't even realize it. And it's difficult for people to just realize when they did it sometimes, because sometimes people do it and they really they're just not aware that they did it. And that's why I try to avoid, you know that's why, no, not avoid, but that's why I try to watch what I do more often. It's one of those things. It's become a factor of just, you know boy, there's a term for it. I think it's having eyes of discern. Having eyes of discern is something like you know when something's wrong. And maybe that should be a prayer I say today here. But something's got to change. Something's got to change. The world is in hysteria right now. And when you look on social media, you can see it everywhere. Opening up Twitter right now. Now, it's not on Twitter right now for me. But when you've had your Twitter profile a long while, you end up you end up getting yourself you end up getting these other communities involved. You end up running into these other communities, and it's hard not to, because Twitter's just a space of things where people go and they find drama, and sometimes they just complain about it. And then, right here's one of them. If a 16-year-old wanted to adopt a child, the government wouldn't allow it. Okay, so that's agreeable. She isn't done with her education. She can't financially support her, and okay, so that's agreeable. But why would anybody feel the need to talk about this? Why would this be a logical thing to say on Twitter? All right, so scroll down. And this is something I agree. Uh, this is another one. Somebody's like, men and women are just as bad as each other, and the gender wars are very stupid. I agree. I agree. That's what goes on our internet. We have a gender war. We have a gender war. We have a generation war. A generation war based on Gen Z and millennials. We have a generation war going on. We have we have a gender war. What is this? Why are we getting into this? We have the console wars. Why is there a war for everything out there? We have religious wars, which are based on Christianity, and then every other single. It's weird. It's weird. All right. Why do we feel the need to one up? This boasting and wanting upping or whatever. I'm gonna be honest. I don't agree with it. I do not agree with it. I actually think it's what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I can just say it bluntly because it's not bad. I think it's stupid. I think these things are the most stupidest things. Why do we feel the need to have a war based on everything that we do? And what I mean by everything, we have a console war for gaming. We have a gender war for men and women. And then we got this other made up thing coming into that war. can't we just get along somehow? And I know it's like not impossible, but it's like, what is going on with us? Why are we doing this? Men and women are supposed to love one another. That's the way it is. Men and women are supposed to love one another. Men and women are not supposed to go against each other. The reason this gender war started is because of defeminism, the separation. Like, everybody's now in some sort of like falling, a political falling of some sorts, and it's gotten out of hand, and it just separated all of us. And do I follow it? No, I don't. In fact, I'm the outcast of everything. So, all right, I'm gonna get ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say prayers here, and then I'm gonna get out of here. And you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back in a couple hours. So, all right, Lord Jesus Christ, I pray to you today to, if people's hearts are hardened today, Lord, soften the hearts of people. If there's war and it started and somebody's heart is hardened and that's the way it was started, Lord, soften the hearts of the people starting the war and make sure the war cease to exist. Lord, everybody that's, been at me the past like couple years, Lord, I pray you soften their hearts, and I pray you make sure that they're just not starting drama, because, you know, this relentless drama directed at me is just kind of strange, and I think people need to people need to take a step back and just look to stop going all crazy on each other. Lord, I pray that you fix this. I pray that you make these like wars that we have going on with like culture, age, sexuality, race. I pray that you take those and you make people cut them out of their life, Lord. I pray that you change the internet. I pray that you don't make these things exist anymore. Lord, I pray to you today also for Melanie Mack. I know she's still going through the death of her grandparents and all that. And Lord, just teach her that she don't need to change herself. Lord, I'm a little bit concerned about her, and I know she's going through stuff, and you know, she has seemed like she's, there's something there that seems, you know, a little bit. I just bring her back to her, Lord. Bring her back to her and make her realize that she is liked the way she is, that she is loved the way she is, that she is cared for the way she is, that nobody wanted her to change to begin with. And Lord, bring her back to the Bible. Lord, bring her back to the Bible and make sure she's reading the word of you every day, Lord. And make her understand that she don't need to change her appearance and stuff like that. That everybody likes her the way she is, Lord. Um, and I pray you just, if her heart is hardened today, Lord, um, soften her heart and make sure she's happy again, Lord. And also, um, you know, if at some point today I deal with hardship today, Lord, be there for me. Be there for me. Remind me to pray. Remind me to like pray for that person. And Lord, everybody in my Discord, I pray for them. I pray that if they have a hardened heart, Lord, I pray that you, I pray that you take the hardened hearts away from them, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So there you go. There you have it. You know, today's prayer was different. Today's prayer was a lot different than normal. Because I'm tired of seeing people's hearts be hardened by things going on around them. And it's hard to watch people that you care about and are in pain suffer even more. And um, just pray for them. Pray for them and get them to understand that everybody cares about them, that nobody hates them, and that, I can understand when somebody's dealing with a death, it is hard to get over at first. It takes a while, but you got to pray for that person. You can't let that person do it by themselves. You have to pray for them. So that's why I pray for anybody I see dealing with a bad time. And like the people in my Discord, I just prayed for them because they needed a prayer. They needed prayer. They needed, their hearts to not be hardened anymore. So with that said, guys, If you see somebody struggling in life, pray for them. Prayer is always good, no matter what. So, anyway, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go eat some food, and I'll be back this evening with more streams, more Bible readings. So, with that said, guys, take it easy. Have a good night. Have a good day.